Hi, I'm Jessica Jackson with the Thriving in Motherhood podcast, and today we're going to be talking about getting started with poetry tea time. This was a question that I got from Faith that I'll play in just a second. But this is just a fun part of our family culture that we've done for years, and it's really easy to just get started, whether you have just tiny little kids or they are older. This is a fun thing that our family enjoys that's pretty low pressure. I want to invite you to check out the free masterclass, Plan a Week You Can Win, at thrivinginmotherhoodpodcast.com/more-time to help you understand how to plan in a way that you will not get burned out, and you'll be able to check everything off of your to-do list this week, no matter how much you have going on. So that, you can find it at thrivinginmotherhoodpodcast.com/more-time. And now we're going to jump into today's episode. Hi, I'm Jessica Jackson, and this is the new way to thrive in motherhood by leaning into who you are, what you love, your unique family situation and personal mission to create a life that you actually want to live. I want to invite you to join me in saying no to the life of the exhausted supermom, burnout, victim thinking, being pulled in so many directions, suffering through survival mode, or being lost in motherhood, and say yes to building strong families and moving forward on our greatest goals in order to create a fulfilling life that we are excited to wake up to each day and become a soaring mother. This is the Thriving in Motherhood podcast.
Hi, Jessica. I think I've heard you mention doing tea parties with your family, and I'm just wondering how you do that. I am interested in doing it as a bonding experience and just something classy to do together. I'd also like to expose them to classical literature like poetry, but I also want it to be fun and something to look forward to. I wondered if you have any poetry books you'd recommend reading or just something really fun and delightful to do. How do you read and eat at the same time, or do you not eat? I think I can come up with some healthy-ish snacks. I don't want to give my kids like a sugar overload right before dinner or mealtime. But anyway, just wondering how you do tea parties.
Okay, this is such a fun question, and I am thrilled that Faith answered it. We were actually roommates in college, so it's fun that we can do motherhood together via the internet. Okay, she's just said tea time in general. For us, our family has always called it poetry tea time, which I think is kind of what you described, Faith, where you want to have this bonding experience, also introduce your kids to literature and poetry. So we just call it poetry tea time. And this is something I learned about, I was probably in Indiana or Connecticut. So it's probably been 5 or 6 years now. A term that I learned from Julie Bogart. She has written the book, The Brave Learner, that I've mentioned on here many times, and has her own podcast and curriculum and membership and all the things for the homeschooling mothers. But this is something that I highly recommend for anybody. And she has a website specifically for this called poetryteatime.com. But basically, all that it is you gather with your kids. We do it one afternoon a week, and you have some snacks together and you read poetry. It's like so simple, but it's really fun. And so let's get into the logistics of how to set it up, when we do it, books that we use, and the snacks that we have, and just break it down and give you lots of ideas so that you can. Sometimes I feel like when you have lots of concrete ideas, it's easier for you to be like, that works, that doesn't work, this is what I want to do, this is how I want to change it, instead of starting with a blank canvas. So I'm sharing this as a starting place, a jumping off point that you can take and tweak and tailor to your own family and what you guys want to do. So anytime I want to start something new, the very first thing I need to do is, how do I set this up to make it easy to do this thing that I want to do? So because if it's hard, if there's lots of resistance, if it's a pain to get everything pulled together, then we're not going to do it. So that's like my number one secret. Anytime I want to do anything in my homeschool day or in our family or start any new thing, it's how do we set up the environment to make this easy to do? So for us, this looks like starting out with a trip to Goodwill and because we really don't have very much by way of dishes. So we went to Goodwill and we found some mugs that we thought would be fun to use for our tea time. If you want, you can take a gander and see if there's tablecloths. If you don't have one, if there's a fun tablecloth that you want to enjoy. We actually don't use one because when we visit my family's house, they have a tablecloth on the table, and I feel like the entire time kids are just like pulling it and adjusting it, even accidentally, and like we almost lose half the stuff on the table. So we skip that part, even though it would be really pretty. But I have little toddlers. So if you don't have the toddlers, then maybe you're ready for a tablecloth. And then we also located some candles and like little candle holders. So you can just have fun there. The reason why I picked Goodwill is because it's it's just fun. It's like part of the hunt, and adding it. But basically, whether you're going somewhere to acquire things or you have things, we then have all of our poetry team time stuff in a specific spot right next to our table, like in a drawer that we have there. And so I would just like gather it instead of decide whether it's in a drawer, a cupboard, on a shelf, so that you know where your poetry tea time stuff is. So it's easy to get and everyone knows where it is. So get your kids involved in setting up the environment, whether it's shopping for the things or just putting the things you already have into your spot, to make it really easy to do. So the next step is, when do you do this? So for us, we've found a lot of success just doing it in the afternoon, 1 day a week. We often do Wednesdays. I don't know, maybe it's just halfway through the week. We all need to pick me up. And I love doing this immediately after quiet time, because everyone does need wants a snack. I don't know that we do it formally often, but for this we do. And then I love pairing it with, as soon as we're done with poetry tea time, we go and reset the whole house, because everyone just had a snack, they have energy, and then that frees us up to go somewhere the rest of the afternoon. We come back and the house is clean. So that's kind of like my flow on poetry tea time days. And it would be cool if every day was like that, but we just have other things happening on other days, so it doesn't look like that. But on poetry tea time days, it's quiet time, poetry tea time with snacks, clean up, get out of the house. Come home and it's clean. It's pretty much awesome. And the secret here also is that when I'm planning my meals for the week, that's like an Instapot meal or something that I can make ahead and toss in the oven before we like go on a walk or play outside or whatever. So that is my trick there. And then books that we use is a nice list of things that I've thrifted. So I would just recommend, like, if you go to Goodwill or a thrift store, or we go to library book sales looking for some of these books, or just good classic like children's anthologies. So let me run through some favorites of ours. We've got A.A. Milne, and this is the world of Christopher Robin, the complete When We Were Very Young and Now That We're Six. Now, let me also say this. So when you're actually sitting there around the table together, I will bring out our stack of books and let every kid pick one poem that they want to read from the book. And they'll either read it, or I'll often just read the poem that they picked. So everyone gets to pick a poem. I get to pick a poem. And that's it. We read. Now, Julie Bogart suggests that everyone reads first, and then you eat the food afterwards, which is wonderful. I often will just read while everyone will pick a poem, and then I read while the kids are eating. And I have all the books, so they're not getting dirty. And I can eat and read at the same time. I'll read a poem and then I eat, and then I read a poem and then I eat. So, I can manage that. So that's our first recommendation. This one we found at a library book sale in Indiana. So again, this has been like 6 or 7 years in the making here, but this is a child's anthology of poetry edited by Elizabeth Hogsword. I really enjoyed this one. It is cute. It's got all these different, I don't know. It's well done. There's some illustrations. It's got a good variety. And that's kind of what I do, is I just look through and I read them and see, do I like these? Not? I don't know. You can kind of get a feel for them. The next one that I found, I was really excited. So first for years, we just had the Book of Virtues, and I've read out of that. But then at one of my more recent thrifting finds, I found the Children's Book of Virtues. And this is so fun because there's poetry around a topic, also short stories. So we'll do those. And these ones have illustrations. So the other, some of these don't have illustrations. The ones that do are really fun because it makes it easier for the younger kids to pick out when they want to read. Now that I've got readers, it's fine that not everything has pictures, but even still, it's more fun. So for that, my friend who knows poetry really well, she's wonderful. She told me about the series called The Poetry for Young People. I actually have a big collection of them, but I think the two of my favorites so far have been Robert Frost and Emily Dickinson's. And these ones are fantastic because you start out with, and again, I take zero credit for this. My friend Phoebe is awesome at finding things. So it starts out with an introduction and teaches you about the poet. And then all of the poems, all of the pages are illustrated in color. So those are really, really fun. All right, my next recommendation here is another thrift find, but it's so cute. Family of Poems, my favorite poetry for children, put together by Caroline Kennedy. And again, why do I like it? I open it up and immediately, what am I looking for? It's colored, it's illustrated. They're clearly, different topics and things the kids would enjoy from different, weather poems, or there's, the little fairies. So as I'm thrifting for poetry books, this is what I'm looking for. A recent find of ours has been the Ambleside anthologies that they've been putting together. They've got them different years. And so these ones, the intention is that you read one a day for the term of these different poets, but they've got them, year one is supposed to be like age 6. And so I just picked up year 3, or I just have year 3 here, but there's loads of them on the website. And so you can get those and just have a great resource of a wide variety of poetry, but also like deep study, like deep dive on one poet. And then something that we've always paired with our poetry tea time has been fairy tales, because I just have some kids that are more adverse to poetry. And so I'm like, well, let's just all pick a poem. And they're like, okay, but we want more, but we don't want more of that. And so for the rest of the snack time, I will read fairy tales. And I found this Andersen's fairy tale years ago. Again, probably 6, 7, 8 years ago now. And it's just a cute version of it. There aren't any pictures in it except for on the outside cover. Well, there's a few little illustrations, but it's just the straight Andersen's fairy tales. So we love them. And that is what we do for the books. Now, as for food, funnily enough, pretty much everything we make for snacks I got from Faith's website here. This was not arranged. She's not planning on this, but I'm going to give a plug for her website, faithfulplateful.com, as well as her kids' cookbook that we own. So great. So what we do for our poetry tea time snacks, my daughter loves herbalism. And so she will go out and find the mint and lemon balm in our yard and steep them in water. So we will have like legit tea from peppermint leaves and lemon balm leaves. We don't do that every time, but in the summer she enjoys doing that. And then what we typically have for our tea time snacks are things like I'll make up a blender full of green smoothie. We'll do popsicles that the kids have made, like homemade popsicles. Again, Faith's cookbook is a great resource for that, and she's got a few on her website as well. Popcorn, just straight popcorn. We love using salt and nutritional yeast on it. We make banana ice cream with frozen bananas, cocoa powder, peanut butter, and cinnamon. Really good combination. Energy balls. Again, there's like a gazillion recipes out there, but we do like oats and peanut butter and honey and chia seeds and some flax seeds and raisins. Pretty standard. We love making chickpea chocolate chip cookies, which again, Faith's website, we've been using that recipe for years. So that's basically what we make. And at this point, my kids make them. My kids make the popsicles. My kids can bake the cookies. My kids can pop the popcorn and make banana ice cream. Like they can make those things now. I will say we often have a stash of like frozen muffins or pancakes or, other baked goods that I always like at minimum triple or quadruple a batch when I'm baking something. So I don't have to do it very often. So sometimes we'll pull frozen muffins out of the freezer, but we're not really doing treats. We're just doing like some pretty solid snacks along with whatever we're eating for the afternoon. I think of the idea of like making scones or like pastries or I don't know, more poetry tea time or like more official tea time snacks would be fun, but we are pretty simple over here. The goal is just to do the thing. And so this is how we do it. But I hope that gives you some ideas. This is just something where when we don't do it for a while, like if there's been summer, my kids ask for it. They want to do this. They enjoy it. And I'll also use it we'll play classical music in the background. Like I'll pick one composer and we'll just listen to that quietly in the background. If it's not too noisy, because the other thing is like, this is not, like we're real kids, we're a real family. And sometimes it's kind of noisy and it's just imperfect, and that's okay. We still do it anyway. The kids love it. They have a positive association with it. And anyway, so I hope I get you started. So I guess just again, a quick recap. You can check out poetryteatime.com for Julie Bogart's resources. She's got a few like other book recommendations and things like that. Make it easy to do it. So gather all of the things that you want for Poetry Tea Time in one place, including your books. Keep them separate and easy to pull out and grab. So it's just a matter of taking things out on the table and getting started. Pick a time that you're going to do it that works for you. I know some families do it at 10 a.m. in the middle of, their school day. So whatever works for you, there's no hard, fast rule. We like pairing it right after quiet time with some cleanup time with getting out of the house time. Thrift books. That's my best piece of advice. It's just, there's always so many good poetry books at thrift stores or library book sales. And then simple snacks, you can check out faithfulplateful.com for all of her resources for food and snacks, but we pretty much eat from her stuff I don't know, 60 to 80% of the week. So anyway, I hope you have a wonderful week. Thanks for joining me. Remember that the Thriving in Motherhood Planner is available for 2024 right now at the website at thrivinginmotherhoodpodcast.com. So you can go check that out today. And we would love to get that into your hands so that you can create your vision for the year and make it a reality. It is such a powerful tool that I use in helping me manage all the things that I need to do and want to do and feel really confident with how I'm spending my time and energy every day. So have a wonderful week, and I'm excited to talk with you again next week.
Where you are planted, watch the blossoms grow.